Our next review, a movie that we both have seen,
Mm.
a movie that's nominated for Best Picture right now. And also the director of this movie also was nominated for Best Director. She's a woman. Her name is Justine Trent is her name.
Justine Trier.
Trier. There nobody mentioned her. Like it seemed like people just kind of overlooked her. It's like, why aren't there any women nominated for Best Director? It's like, this
It's
woman
like
is.
got her right here.
I mean, it is just one, but I mean, she is there. I mean,
And yeah, kind of directs the ever loving shit out of this movie.
what's this movie about? Anatomy of a Fall. So Anatomy of a Fall, very simple premise here. A guy, he falls, and dies. And
Thank you.
you have this woman who's the wife
Yeah,
of the guy who falls and dies, and they're
yeah,
trying to do
yeah.
this
This woman
investigation.
played by Sandra Hüller, and the movie is set over the investigation and the legal trial of her potentially having murdered her husband.
Yeah. You see kind of this movie mostly takes place in like this all of this is about the investigation,
Mhm.
the trial, did she do it? Wasn't an accident? Did he commit suicide? There's a bunch of stuff that comes out in the trial about their personal life, about what he was going through, about what she was going through, about what they were going through
Mhm.
together. Also
Yeah,
in the mix is the
and
child.
yeah, what this movie essentially is what if your personal business, what if your worst moments, what if everything that you've done in your entire life, what if all of that was put under a microscope?
Yeah. All your conversations, all these things that, the situations you have, with your partner, these intimate moments,
Mhm.
what if they were just kind of put out there? And like I said, to add it to the mix there that cause even more situations. The only witness to this is their son, who's
Yeah,
partially blind.
yeah, their son Daniel, who is partially blind from an accident that their father is partially responsible for.
Mm, yeah. So yeah, he's the only witness to the crime there. So they're kind of digging up everything, trying to figure it out, going to trial. And Sandra Hüller, who's also she's nominated for Best Actress
Mhm.
for this. And I heard a lot about this movie, how amazing it was, how amazing her performance was, and I can say it's definitely well deserved.
Mhm.
I do think she.
She was also in Zone of Interest, another movie that was nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, good for her then. Yeah, so that's awesome. Awesome year for her then. So yeah, yeah, so she's absolutely fantastic in this. Like to see
Mm.
kind of the absolute pressure that gets put on her. She goes through the ringer in this, because she has this attorney especially when they go to trial. This one guy, I mean, he just is hammering her hard. The prosecutor of the case there, I mean, he's just hitting her hard all the
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, and that prosecutor is played by Antoine Renards, and he is going hard in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, damn, he's rent is due, and
It's like boom, 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 work the body, work the body.
there's a situation where because the beginning of the movie, she's doing an interview with
Mhm.
I think it was a student, I think.
Yeah, it's a journalist that's trying to talk to Sandra about a book that she'd recently published, and off screen her husband Samuel just starts playing the most obnoxious steel drum cover of Pimp by 50 Cent.
Yeah.
And I've and if I've had a partner do that to me, I'm not saying she should have killed him, but I understand.
Yeah, but you see with the prosecutor, like, they bring her up to the witness stand, they're asking her questions,
Hmm.
and they're just he's just
And
hammering her,
and
the
and
prosecutor is.
there's also this added layer to it with because this is taking place in French court. Sandra Hüller and both the character are both German. So in her relationship with her husband, they kind of meet in the middle and both speak English in their home. So eventually, the extent of her French gets worn out, and she eventually just starts communicating in English.
Right. But yeah, so like I said, the prosecutor there, he's really digging into this interview, digging into,
Mhm,
like I said, because she recorded it, so they're playing it in
mhm,
court, and says, they bring up the fact that she's bisexual, the
mhm,
Sandra Hüller character there, and they bring up that, and it says, well, do you think that she was flirting with you? Do you think that
mhm.
when she offered you wine, she meant this, and trying to really get
And
inside of like
yeah,
these moments.
they bring up that she has cheated on her husband in the past.
Yeah, they do bring that up. So it, like I said, I mean, throughout the movie, you're kind of wondering, you're kind of, I think, wavering back and forth
Mm.
between if she did it, did she not do it? It seems plausible. It looks like an accident, but then you kind of go back and it's like, oh no, maybe she could have done it. You know,
Yeah, and a thing I love about this movie is because with movies like this, with these kind of murder mysteries, we're really obsessed with finding out an answer one way or the other. We really want to know what really happened. And my favorite thing about this movie is it doesn't give you a concrete answer. It forces you to live in that ambiguity. It forces us to be kind of an outsider looking in of look at all the facts of the case and make a decision of whether or not she did it.
yeah. So I think it's
And
interesting.
the movie does a fantastic job of leaving clues and breadcrumbs both one way or the other, whichever way you come away from this movie, if she did it or not. The movie gives you enough clues to point you in either direction.
Yeah. And you may ask, what about the forensic evidence, the science of it? Is it, but it's not
Mhm.
really clean cut because it's like, well, it could have gone this way, but it also
Mhm.
could have gone this way too. So it's not really clean cut there. And the person defending her also does a really fantastic
Mhm.
job here. You have Swan Arlud there,
Swan allowed.
who plays Vincent in it. He's her defense attorney there,
Mhm.
leading up her defense. He's also does really fantastic as well in this film, and you see kind of relationship that starts to develop between him and Sandra there. Of like, she's really trying to convince him like I didn't do it. He's like, I mean, okay, I mean, they believe him. Does he really believe her or not?
Mhm.
You don't really don't know, but it's like he's doing his job because he's doing it and
Mhm.
saying that. But he really walks through all the events with her and everything, and you see kind of what it kind of goes, all what kind of goes into this case, and you can see like, yeah, definitely could kind of go either way there. So that's what I kind of love about this movie. Like you said, is the ambiguity to it. Towards the end of it, is like you said, you could be going either way with it, and then you are leading up by terrific performances, and even the child in this, he does a
Oh yeah,
fantastic job. Yeah,
yeah. This child actor who's played by Milo Machado Grainer, who this is he's done two other films before this, but this is probably his most prominent role. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that this kid was probably snubbed for best supporting actor because I'd say the entire emotional climax of this film, of this kid wrestling with this idea of, is my mother a murderer? It entirely rests on his shoulders, and he absolutely nails it.
yeah. And you see that kind of you see that I think a lot of the wavering with the kid of like, damn, did my mom do it or didn't she do it? Like you see that a lot with the kid there as kind of like more of the audience kind of character there, witnessing everything and seeing everything kind of play out. Because you never actually see the fall. You just see his body there.
Yeah, you see the aftermath. You see like little flashes during the trial of, both sides are presenting their case, their version of what happened, and you see it reenacted with them.
Yeah, and you don't really get to see that much of their marriage or their dynamic. You see kind of one
Mhm,
scene there, a couple scenes of them where they're playing an argument that they had.
mhm. Yeah, which
Before.
I have had a similar argument with partners in the past, and I don't like it.
Yeah, you better check if you're being recorded there anytime you kind of blow up. But yeah, I mean, so you don't really get to see much of the dynamic between them or even the husband as much. You just kind of see a lot of the aftermath there, which I thought was an interesting decision there that they did that. So yeah, um, very strong movie, filled with really great writing, really great performances, really well done execution there as far as the ambiguity there, and how they kind of play things. So I definitely see why this movie was nominated for the awards that it was nominated for.
Mm,
So for
I-
me,
mm,
yeah, so for me, I would give this definitely, I'd give it a peak,
mm.
for me. What about you?
Ooh, yeah, this is a movie that I was very much sleeping on when I heard the announcements of both Best Picture for the Oscars and for the Golden Globes, which I fully retract every single feeling about that because this movie is fucking incredible. Just how it plays with that moral ambiguity, how it plays with the idea of if you put anybody's life under a microscope, you can make them look guilty of a lot of things, and how much this movie plays with this. It's less a question of a true crime story of a a film with a definite answer. It's more about these people, their lives, and how this case affects them, and having to look back on everything that you've done in your life, and on top of that, playing with a lot of the cultural stuff in this movie, because I love that uh, you have Sandra Hüller, who is a German actress speaking English, and having to go through this whole trial in mostly French, and you get to see, her frustrations, even though she's like barely trying to show it, because she knows if she blows up in court, that's just gonna make her look that much guiltier.
Yeah. And this also gets into, like, when she has conversations with her attorney, the politics of
Mm.
the city. Because when she says, like, she says in the trailer, like, "I didn't kill him." It's like, well, that's not really it's really not important if you really
Mhm.
did it. It's like, how does it look like you did do it or not? That's really kinda what's important here. Can people believe that you actually did it?
Mhm.
And that's a lot of things. These things go to trial of, when a spouse, gets murdered, who's likely the suspect? The other
Yeah,
partner.
it's like every single cop show you've ever heard is like, if a wife gets murdered, 90% of the time it's the husband.
Yeah. So that's just kind of the way it is. It's like, it's like, the politics of the situation here. You have to present yourself in a way there and leave up kind of, any doubt that you actually did do it, and play it kind of well there. So I thought that was also really interesting, that aspect of the film. So yeah, what would you give it?
Oof, I can't give this anything but peak. This movie is over 2.5 hours long, and I was completely captivated every single frame of this movie.
Mm, nice. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, they speak English through most of it, so you don't have to worry about if you worry about, oh, this movie with a lot of subtitles. I
No,
gotta read
I
like.
don't I don't like to read.
It's not it's mostly English. It is subtitles when they speak
Yeah.
French, but it is mostly, I think, in English there mostly, so don't worry about that. So yeah. Um, high marks, peaks for.
Peaks all around. I'm kind of sad that I didn't get a chance to see it before finalizing my best of list.
Yeah, so peaks all around for Anatomy of a Fall there.